بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. We completed the chapter of the virtues of wudu, in which targheeb was given that it is not only a door towards salah, but it is a protection. It cleans the inside, it cleans the outside. It is from the word wada'a, which makes a man shine. It is a muqarrib, it draws the angels closer to a person. It's a muba'id, it pushes away the jinnat, the shayateen. Thereafter we did the chapter about whenever a person has to go to a dirty place. The first dirty place that we would understand is what we call to the place of istinja, khala. But what was written or explained under there was when actions, example the opening of the satar takes place. That itself is the reason why the jinn will come closer and why the angels will go away. Whatever is regarded as dirty, during those times Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a lot of ihtimam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, Abu Bakr radiyallahu anh, they would not be seen entering those places except if their hair was covered. Going towards a place where there's no angels, where there are jinn, and then the hair is exposed, that itself brings a person very close towards the effect, the atharat of the jinn. Lot of emphasis was put that you are going to that place, take the name of Allah before entering, read Bismillah, create a barrier between you and those jinn. Ask Almighty Allah for protection, do some act, think about where is the Qibla, then do not face that Qibla. Do some act which shows adab to the shi'ar of Islam. And in that manner, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala will even in that dirty place protect a person and put him under His special mercy. We live in a world today where the complete opposite has happened. That they want the person to spend more time in the places of dirt. So whether it's places of entertainment, whether it's even a school or university, the satar being opened is regarded as compulsory. How much of the satar they could get open in the schools they got. Then they went to the beaches and the places of fun and entertainment, they even got more open. And then complete encouragement was given. So it was not an issue of the toilet only. But you are in a place where it is dirty, where jinn will not enter. And now enjoy yourself. And then they took it to that level and limit, where even the toilet, which was always known as I'm just going there quickly and coming out, even that became known as a rest room. And it was not just a translation that they made, rest room, but it was that they wanted the person to really take his rest. That you will sit there and you will take it easy, you can smoke there, you can read a magazine there. In the past, the toilet was known, whether it was in the madrasa or in the school, as a place for smoking. In today's time, it's now known in our madrasa as a place for using the phone. That the one place he knows he can't get caught is in the toilets. This is not a place to be. The quicker a person gets out of that place, he is only protected because of the mercy of Almighty Allah. But if he enjoys staying there, and he lengthens his stay, then that protection goes away. The chapter after is known as Babu Siwak, the chapter of Miswaak. Ulama write that this chapter would have been already included in the chapter of wudu. Because in wudu, that's the place for Miswaak. And they explain, no. Miswaak is a completely different amal. It's completely separate from wudu. In which aspect? In many aspects. Number one is that the maximum a person will make wudu in a day is about 6 or 7 times. If he makes 5 times and he keeps his wudu, and in the past people would keep their wudu. So normally if you got your wudu, then it will be called wudu ala wudu. that for my Zohar Salah, I got wuzu, but I will still make so much of benefit. Asr Salah, so much of benefit. The wuzu will be maximum 5 to 7 times. As for Miswaak, the number of times that it would take place could go much more than 6, much more than 10. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we will do, whenever he found the opportunity, the Miswaak went in his mouth. So this is not wudu. Whenever he found the opportunity, he would wake up, first it would be Miswaak. Entering into the house, it would be Miswaak. Thinking of reading Quran, it would be Miswaak. Going to bed, it would be Miswaak. Then Salah, it would be Miswaak. If there was a wuzu before the Salah, it would be Miswaak. Sometimes the wuzu would take place, there was a gap, to such an extent that ulama have written that whenever a person is silent for a while, tulu samt, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's habit was, without need he would not speak. Whenever he was silent for a while, just that time of silence would create a certain odor, which would make him uncomfortable, because of which, before entering onto his family, because they discussed, Aisha radiallahu anha says, whenever he entered the house, I found him making miswak. Some say it was always to ensure the mouth is clean for the family. But then the question comes, but why shouldn't the mouth be clean? This is the mouth of a Nabi. And so much of ihtimam was always taken to be clean. They say, what was happening that could have made the mouth a little dirty? So they write, the only thing was being silent. That from the time he would leave the masjid, then some have written, but the masjid was so close. But even in that small gap, where he was not speaking to anyone, tulu samt, or from outside he was coming back home, there was that gap where he was silent. Even that time of silence, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would like that before I now speak, I will first make a miswak. So his amount of miswak that he will make, perhaps it's impossible anyone in the world will go to that extent. The reason is, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself said, as we will read, whenever Jibreel alayhi salam came to me, whenever he came, he first ordered me to make miswak. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was already making miswak. The opposite. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke of the angels when he said, whoever will eat from these bushes, he was referring to anything that gives out a bad smell, anything that's raw. Then he said, they must not come close to our masjid. Then he said, because the angels, they are harmed by that very thing which also irritates man, meaning a bad odor. Opposite, if you want the angels to come, one we already explained that with wuzu, the angels when they look at you, even Jannah looks at you, the doors open. You are pure. If the mouth is clean, the purest and purest of angels come very close to an individual. To such an extent that it comes in the ahadith that an angel is ready to put its mouth onto the mouth of the believer. But it will only do that if that mouth is extremely, extremely clean. Opposite, the angel picks up a bad odor very fast. For which reason, when the man comes to the masjid, he's not going to open his mouth. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam still said, don't come close to our masjid. فَلَا يَقْرُبَنَّ مُصَلَّانَا. If you look at the system of the world, what was one of their main push? It was to create an odor in the mouth, that even if that person has teeth that are not rotten, they will ensure that the angels will not be coming close to him. So what was created? Cigarettes. And billions were poured into this. So on the cigarette box they will write harmful, it causes cancer, it causes this. Perhaps for a Muslim, he looks at all of those things, it makes no difference. They can't read Bismillah alladhi la yadurru. They could write there, it keeps away the angel. That's a very big thing. It keeps away the angel. The one who ate that raw garlic or onion, those are people who ate raw because they never have the chance to always burn and make it. But when they would have their meal, they would have a meal, not like us always eating. So he would have his meal. That's why he was told, don't come close to our place of salah. Meaning you go and properly you clean your mouth. And he would have enough time. But cigarettes was going to be an addiction that the individual without the cigarette could not do. So example, if a person is sitting for i'tikaf and that last hour is the time when Allah Tabarak Ta'ala creates a certain smell that comes out from the inside. This is not the smell of the mouth. There's a certain smell that comes from the inside which is called heat. Which is called, that smell, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala loves it more than the smell of musk. That is the smell of hunger. Ramadan. There is a certain smell coming out that the angels just love this individual. This individual who got addicted to cigarettes, as soon as he breaks his roza, more than he is worried of his samosa and bhaja, he needs to be smoking. He needs to be smoking. Soon as he takes that cigarette, I don't know how long it takes for that mouth to get clean. But where everyone was waiting that the angels are now, Maghrib time is coming, Quran is a month of Quran, everything is happening. This is that individual that angels are just moving away from. When he managed to keep his mouth so clean, when he's taking that cigarette so many times, when we meet a person and he tells us like he's giving up the cigarette, he says, now I only smoke 5 a day. But when he's smoking, then how much is he smoking? You will say sometimes it could go up to 20 a day. He is smoking so much, although you might say you're wasting so much of money. So that's not the issue really. It is that your whole day is without the angel. As for the issue of money, money comes from Allah. There was one individual shouting another one. The individual shouting was poor, like how it normally happens. And alim is not the richest man in the world. And there was another man smoking, so he asked him, how much you smoking? So he must have given about a pack a day. He said, how much a pack a day costs? So he worked out, it costs about 80, 90, 100 rand. He says, every day you smoke one in a month, you know how much money you are wasting? In 3 months, you know what you are wasting? In 1 year, you know, he started calculating. He said, you know, in 10 years, how much of money you wasted? He said, had you saved that money, you see this building in front, you could have owned that building. So the man looked at him and said, I do own the building. Because in this world, it's like that. Those who got money can waste their money. So it got nothing to do, are you rich or poor? But it does have to do with this. That how many hours of the day, and the angel cannot come close to you at all. It would love to be by you. Billions were put in to create the cigarettes. They never just created it to give lung cancer and breast cancer. Those companies that put it up, as the people who made drugs, whoever investigated them, found it wasn't done underground by some mafia. It was done by satanic forces, and it was then pushed forth through a group called the mafia. But who made that drug? It wasn't one person in his backyard playing with his cigarettes. It was made in a lab to create certain results. The cigarette also was not just made like that. How much of effort went in to create that? From the time it was created, you think about, normally everything changes. But that cigarette, it kept itself. Years and years, how the market was looked after. How much of billions were pumped into that. To bring the individual, your mouth must not be clean. Islam gave a whole chapter for this. As-siwak. That no matter what, your mouth must be clean. To such an extent that certain ahadiths where there was no miswaak, what we call the stick, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would you say, just use your finger also. Just use your finger and rub it on your teeth. Even that will suffice for your miswaak. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh narrates Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, had it not been that I feared difficulty upon my ummah, I would have ordered them that delay the Isha how much you want. Delay the Isha. Read Isha late and thereafter go to bed. وَبِالسِّوَاكِ عِنْدَ كُلِّ صَلَاةٍ. For every salah, let there be a miswak. Certain narrations will mention, for every wuzu, let there be a miswak. Ulama explained that it just meant there is no place for the miswak. That it is not that when you're making wuzu, you'll first wash your hands and then you must make the miswak. The place of the miswak has been left general. Because an individual can find different times to make the miswak. He can make it even before he finds wuzu. So he leaves his classroom. The place of wuzu is still far. On the way he can already complete his miswak. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would just wake up. Even before going and getting his water for wudu, the miswak would be done. Some ulama mentioned that would suffice. He would not make a second now in the wudu. Others would say even in the wudu there would be a short miswak. The place of the miswak is not set. Wherever you can make that miswak, make that miswak. The miswak will be made from the right hand side to the left. It will be made along the breadth of the teeth. It will be rubbed. You don't have to break your teeth for it. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did say so much. Jibreel alayhi salam, so much he used to tell me to make the miswak that I feared that I would actually go into my gums. So much of miswak was made. So much of miswak. It says whenever Jibreel alayhi salam would come, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Aisha radiallahu anha was asked that whenever he would enter the house, what was the first thing he would begin? Aisha radiallahu anha says he would be making the miswak. Huzaifa radiallahu anh narrates, whenever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed, woke up for tahajjud, the first thing that he would be found doing, he would be cleaning his mouth with the miswak. And in this chapter then, it is mentioned of 10 things. This is a very lengthy hadith, or lengthy explanation, but we will wrap it up very fast. The crux of this whole thing is, purity pulls the angel, and dirt pushes away the angel. The Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam and the people of piety, whoever had a chance to meet with the angels, it became their nature. And this ummah then was told, you grab this nature. If a person can grab these, here it will be mentioned 10 things. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ashrum min al-fitra. There are 10 things that are called natural. But as we know in this world, a person has lost what is called his nature. When the whole issue comes of homosexuality, and a discussion is being made that was he born like that? And the answer is that no, but something happened along the way that his nature changed. And it can happen. Now it's not his fault, that young boy. He was put in a school at a young age. The teacher taught him something. That made him, gave him a mind of being homosexual. He was made to see certain things on the television. A certain joke took place. You will never understand how much of effect a teacher can have. It's just one remark a teacher might say to a boy. One remark. The teacher might just say something about a girl, and that boy whole life will hate woman. Whole life. And he will not understand why it was one sentence. So many people who became killers later on, they would always say, when I was small, that one person abused me. Because of that abuse, I kept it within me my whole life. Now I hate not one person, I hate humanity. A person saw a woman being evil to him. One woman. For him it became revenge on the woman of the world. So he became a rapist. That young child in school might be only 3 or 4 years. He might not even remember what the teacher says to him. But the teacher says one word and suddenly he doesn't like girls after that. He becomes interested in boys. When he will grow up, he will say, isn't it natural that I've always been like that? Because he can't remember what he was before he met the teacher. 10 things if a person can have, he will find his nature will remain pure. Because remember, the heart is not within our control. But there are certain things within our control. The law in Islam is if you do what you can do, Allah will do the rest. There are 10 things which are part of nature. These are 10 things which everyone can do. Whoever will work on these 10 things, he will find his inside nature will always be pure. He will be saved from filthy, dirty thoughts. He will be saved from an evil nature where he wants to harm people. He will be saved from jealousy and greed. That's all that inside. Because that's not natural. Every Nabi that came, he came with unique qualities. But to get every quality of his is not easy. These 10 were those which were easy for everyone. 10 things which are part of the nature, fitra. Ulama explain it is part of the nature of every Nabi. And special mention was made of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. It was those 10 things which he went what you will say, he reached the peak of those 10. He went out of his way to fulfill those 10. Where it was difficult, he made some arrangement that this is how I'm going to be. We reached an era today where it is not hard to get all 10. Because water is available like anything. Razors are available like anything. Mirrors are available like anything. It's only one that the mind must say, I want to be clean. Because if there's any place where germs can gather in my body, the gathering of germs pushes away angels and it will bring towards me the jinn. I want to have a nature as pure as anything, and then I can become like a Nabi. 10 things which are part of nature. All of these 10 was to remove wherever germs we say today can gather, what we call dirt can gather. Qassu sharib, to trim the mustache. In trimming the mustache, the basic was that this red, at least the red must not be covered. The reason is as food will be eaten, if there is hair coming over it, forget the food touching that hair and going in. There will be certain times, like you get certain people when they think a lot, and they take their tongue, they look for that hair, and they pull it back in the mouth. That hair is a collector of dirt. Bringing that dirt into the mouth pushes away the angel. Keeping that dirt away from the mouth brings the angel. Miswaak was the main one. This whole chapter is about miswaak. These are 10 things, but the highlight of it all is this mouth. It is this mouth which is the door for the angels to come, or it is the call for the angels to go away. How it smells, is that what happens. So the mustache has to be clean. Trimming the mustache. Minimum is that red must not be covered. I'fa'ul lihya. The beard should be allowed to grow. The beard should be allowed to grow. Ulama have mentioned that in the ahadith, you will not find an amount till where it must grow. But it was known that Sahaba radiallahu anh would not cut it less than 1/1. So 1/1 was known as the minimum. Thereafter you allow it to grow even further, but it must be neat. A long beard, but a neat beard. Having no beard is no good, and having a dirty beard also is no good. A person must be neat and he must be clean. Then wassiwaku. Out of your way to make miswak. Whenever you can find the time to make miswak. And as soon as you find water, then to gargle and take out that. Istinshaqul ma. When a person is making wudu, from the nose, that dirt that comes out is not napak. And normally it's our habit when we make wudu, we don't like to sniff in that water. Some people say it reaches here and I feel funny after that. Recent times doctors have mentioned one of the best for the person who suffers from sinus is to try to get this area wet. So there was no need to wait for sinus to come and then start sniffing. You will see when a person has heavy sinus, or when this corona came, one of the things they said is take hot water and steam. One of the purposes of that steam is they needed this area to get wet. Because that's all that the steam is doing. It is going through this area. It's lifting up. So you don't have to wait for a sickness. You don't have to wait for sinus. It's not easiest at the beginning, but every now and then do take a snuff. How in the world they say, I wish I knew what it means to snuff. So there's no need to have a drug to take it. Just put water, your eyes will still go red. In the beginning time, it will hit. After that, you become used to it very fast. Then it doesn't bang so hard. The first one bangs. If a person doesn't know how to swim, you will see when he will jump in the first time, all that water goes everywhere. But if he just learns how to swim, he jumps in the same, but he's able to control it and the water doesn't go up. So how much you need the water to go, you will be able to control, but allow the snuff. Istinshaqul ma. It was mentioned specially that the Anbiya alayhimus salam used to make sure this place was wet with water. Qassul asfar. And you will look now and then at your nails. Think of this. We might say like these are normal, natural things. But if you look at the world around us, whatever was mentioned here, they made an effort to do the opposite. The reason is every one of them then draws the jinn and pushes away the angel. An effort was made that you will lengthen the mustache. And how they made that effort, that forget non-Muslims, it became the habit amongst many Muslims in the world. Maybe they saw it on television, maybe they saw it in papers, maybe they understood it's a sign you are a gentleman. And they created that mustache. In Muslim countries you will go, especially where the British came, you will see how they look at the beard, like, why are you keeping this beard? It's so dirty. But as for the mustache, it's the thrill of their life. It goes longer and longer, and how they will twist it. They are the ones who will take it, such a long mustache, they can push it in their mouth. They suck on it, they take it out, lengthening the mustache. We might just say how ugly it is. It had nothing to do with being ugly. It had to do that this is a dirty act. Angels hate it, the jinn love it. And it came on the faces of Muslims. Qassu sharib, trim the mustache, they lengthened the mustache. Lengthened the beard, they took out the beard completely. And such an effort they made that in Muslim lands they banned the beard. So a person would wonder like what they had to do with the beard. Did it harm in the shop? Once upon a time in the sports world some people started keeping beards. So it hurt them so much that in the beginning they tried to prove that by having a beard that man will not be able to score runs. But they could never think like the beard doesn't go up towards the eye. The beard comes down. They could not believe that a man can do anything good in the world with a beard. But forget sports, in a workplace. What made them ban the beard in a workplace? It never affected his writing. Then in hospitals came the time where they said this is the carrier of all germs. But they never once said the mustache is the carrier. So in hospitals they said a doctor, his beard is not allowed. Because he brings germs into the hospital. Everything had to do with the beard. Take out the beard. Banned. And then it became nature of people that they started feeling it's very hard to keep a beard. Growing the beard pulls the angels. Taking out that beard for whatever reason pushes away the angels. Miswaak, and they brought the cigarettes. They brought whatever has to be eaten. Mullah Ali Qari Rahimullah then writes one of the fawaid of Miswaak. He says, it has been written that there are so many benefits of the Miswaak. Normally in the Arabic language they say sab'una, over 70 benefits. He says one, it has been mentioned that one of those benefits is a yudhakkir ash-shahadata inda al-maut. Before a person passes away, using the miswak reminds him to read his kalima. You'll wonder how. But after that he writes, wafil afyun. It has been written regarding opium and nowadays drugs. He said it has been written that this also has 70 harms. He says, but one of the harms that have been recorded is nisyanu shahada. That he might die with his kalima, but he will forget to read that kalima. He'll die with iman, but that last, that honor to say ashhadu Allah, he'll just forget about it. Allah ilaha illallah. Nisyanu shahada. Something was made to push for this, that the mouth must not be clean. And they brought in cigarettes and whatever had to come after. Istinshaqul ma, to take water up. Qassur asfar, to cut the nails. Look in the world, especially amongst women. What came in their minds, what they saw on television or on magazines, that it became known for them, the longer your fingernail, the more beautiful you are. And how long that nail went. How long? The place where germs grow or lay their eggs is under the nail, because it's a hidden part of the body. It's not easy for water to reach there. A person, as soon as he sees any black in his nail, he must not rush to eat, because he must know when he eats, his hand goes into the food. As it goes into the food, that black also touches. And some of it mixes with that food, and that's what he puts back in his mouth. Before eating, he should look at his hand. And if he sees his nails are dirty anywhere, he should get that cleaned. He should take out all black from inside. Qastur asfar. They made the complete opposite. That the girl must have long nails. Wa ghaslul barajim. There are many joints where normally it is said that this will be like where water normally doesn't flow. You put your hand under the tap, and there are certain jumps. Wherever the jump comes, then special mention was made to rub it. We normally say joints. But wherever you can see a place where the water, if it flows, it just flows over. Then to make a special rub on those parts. I want you to think about this here. So much of emphasis was made that the Anbiya of the past, they could not see one part of their body not getting its water. Everything made them feel uneasy. For them it was that the angels only like purity. Almighty Allah only likes purity. Allah is pure and Allah loves the pure. We have a chance because water now is freely available. Go out of your way to stay pure. Use less water but rub more. Make your habit such whenever you find the time you're making miswaak. Natful ibd, the underarms, that hair must be plucked out. That hair must be kept clean. Halqul ana, what we say, the hair of the navel. Wa intiqasul ma, and finally istinja. All of these things were the crux of what is called outside purity. Wherever I can be more clean. The Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam, it was their nature. In another narrator it comes 4 things were from the sunan of the Anbiya. First one is haya. But haya is something, it's not easy to get. Their nature was such, they could not show their satar to people. They could not be seen in a place or in an act which is looking dirty. It was their nature to put up a satar, haya. But these 10 things are such that it got to do with the outside. If we can come on to these 10, go out of our way to be pure outwardly. In the madrasa, you might sometimes hear that some students will say, that boy, that if you just go near his bed also, you just feel like. That must never happen with a believer at all. Because if a Muslim feels it hard to approach another because he's untidy, then I can guarantee you the angel is not going to come close to you. Your nature must be pure. There must be no germs around you. How you keep your things must be pure. How your bedding is, it must be pure. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would make sure he would dust his bedding. Everything had to be pure. When you're sleeping, it's like I'm sleeping on a clean bed. I am sleeping with clean clothing. They mention amongst the sunans of sleeping is one is to change clothing. We normally don't change, especially in madrasa, because we used to you just take out your kurta and jump back. But the question comes, why must I change clothing before sleeping? So they said, because when sleeping, the individual is more in need of the angels than when he's awake also. And the angels love purity. It should not be during the day some dirt came on the clothing, and with that cloth he went onto the bed. Because during the day they stayed away, even at night they will then stay away. So much emphasis was put on purity. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala grant us all a pure nature. You start it, we spoke about wudu, to try to come onto whenever my wudu breaks. Now we all make this intention, that somehow the miswak must become routine in my life. I must be able to count during the day at least minimum 7 times I use the miswak. Minimum 7 times. If I was unable to make my wuzu 7 times, minimum 7 times. I made the miswak when I woke up. I made the miswak when I was going to class. I made the miswak as soon as I left class. Allah make it such we all feel it. It's supposed to be that when you will make miswak, you will start feeling a pious nature, a clean nature. You will want to read Quran. You will want to make dua. What relationship a pure mouth has with Almighty Allah is not known. But the hadith has made it very clear. As-siwaku matharatun lil-fam. The beginning of the miswak is it cleanses the mouth. Wa mardatun lil-rabbi. And then it reaches that level where it brings the special happiness of Almighty Allah. And you'll wonder, I never read the Tahajjud yet. What was so great about the miswak that Almighty Allah became happy? There is something in this cleanliness of the mouth. For which reason Jibreel alayhi salam, every time he came, he ordered Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam with miswak. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.